Okay, so I'm back with Stuart, the recovery poet. Obviously, Corona has kind of put an end to face-to-face meetings for everyone. So we're doing this, trying out some new tech. So hopefully it goes okay. But Stu, thanks for taking the time to do it, mate.
No problems, Rich. No problems. Always a pleasure.
Cheers, man. It feels like life is on Zoom
Always
at
a
the
pleasure.
minute, isn't it?
it's it's been weird, isn't it? You know, the way like recovery's sort of like gone out onto social media. You know, it's been the same with all the churches and stuff, and for saying how many people, how much, normally people slate social media and that. You know, we'd all be in the poop without it at the minute, wouldn't we? You
Absolutely,
know,
bro. How are you finding
I mean, we've got a good old telephone and that, but with stuff like this, we're able to still be in the same room together, but not together.
yeah. You finding it difficult or you finding it all right? Like,
Um, I can be 100% honest. I'm finding it okay. You know, as I've said before, I've got a massive faith in God, and I'm just applying my faith to it because, it says within the word that first seek the kingdom of God and all of it shall be added to you. And I believe that the only thing I need at this moment in time really is the peace just to handle the isolation. And I seem to be receiving that peace. It says that it's a peace that passes each and every understanding. And I don't want to make light of it because I know other people struggle in this sort of situation. But I just seem to be being all right with it. I mean, I was speaking to someone yesterday, and these are all sort of like basic what we're here to speak about, really. Recovery. How do we handle situations like this? How do we, in recovery, keep ourselves from going back, to active addiction in this sort of stuff? Well, we're talking now. This, for me, is recovery.
yeah,
I've been helping somebody this morning. I've been out for a drive in my car. I'm not necessarily going walking, but what I am doing, I'm going out for a drive and I'm just spending time and I'm reading my Bible. I'm having a bit of a pray. I'm talking to people constantly. And just yesterday, just a prime example, somebody asked me the same question, Rick. And I just said, well, let's put it this way. I've had 3 conversations on the telephone this morning. I got up at 6:30. I've had 3 conversations. I've done a bit of writing. I've done a bit of... Look at the time. It's like 1 o'clock. Half the day's gone. I've
yeah,
blinked and I've not even noticed it because I've stayed connected. I was up at 10 to 7 this morning speaking to my sponsor in the Philippines. This is recovery. Yeah, we can choose to sit in this stuff and wallow in this stuff, or we can choose to put action into it, and reach out and speak to people and keep ourselves occupied. Because that thing that we all suffered from back in addiction, that thing called pity. It's so easy to go and sit back in pity, especially in times like this, in isolation. And I'm not, like I say, I'm not talking lightly about this because I know people struggle. I've struggled, and I do still struggle at times within my life around stuff. But you know what? I'm just sort of like okay.
yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Oh,
As long as I can still see beautiful people's faces like yourselves, and we can talk and we can interact, and we're never alone, are we? We're never alone.
well, it's step oneing it, isn't it? You know, people, places, and things. You know, we're powerless over it all. I mean, unfortunately, none of us are. You know, none of us have a cure for this COVID stuff, and so we can either stress about it or just accept it. You know.
Yeah, it's about how we act within it and how we deal with it, isn't it? I've had many conversations around this, and I don't want to sort of like slate people and that because well, I'm not slating anybody in particular, but I would say, as I'm sat here now, I would say a lot of people that displayed all this panic buying and stuff, they're probably sat in their homes now thinking, I can't believe I acted like that.
Yeah.
I really can't believe I acted like that. You know what I mean? Because we still go to supermarkets. And what the bloody hell am I going to do with them 2,000 toilet rolls now?
Build a fort.
I've got like 4 months supply of spam that I can't do it with. You know what I mean? And just all this sort of stuff, you know. And it's just about finding that peace, isn't it? And just being right. That, you know, and I feel I've got that today.
Yeah. I think just before we go back to like where we left off in the last part, I think obviously without mentioning any centres or anything, but in your work, I've been talking to a few people that are about to leave rehab, not at your place, but other people I know that are in rehab, and they're bricking it because you're going from rehab into isolation. I mean, what would be your advice? I think I know what it would be, but
well, pretty much what I've just said there. I mean, if you're leaving in rehab, if you've been instructed in the right way that you should be, you know, because I always say now to the lads in the, you know, your rehab's sort of like, I like to use analogies, don't I? You know, and let's just say your rehab's like it's like your driving test, isn't it? It is like your driving test. You're getting taught to driving there, you know, and then you take your test, and then all of a sudden the L plates come on, and you're out on the road on your own, and that's when the rubber hits the road in this game, you know. We've got to start handling stuff, and we've got to put into practice everything that we've learned. And if you've been taught, or if you've been given the right suggestions, you know, you need to be getting into your meetings, you need to be getting into connections, and whether that be now in this environment, you've got to adapt to that environment, you've got to accept that environment and put action into that. You've got to go out and you've got to seek the online meetings. And you know what? The way the fellowships have handled this has been absolutely amazing, because, you know, the connection that's been thrown out there, the way the fellowships have reached out and said, look, the meetings are still here, you know. So we've not got an excuse in that sort of way. The meetings are still there. We've still got these things. I'm still talking to you, you know. There's still no excuse, and if people come up with that excuse, then you've let your addict head and your alcoholic thinking give you that excuse.
That's
you know,
all it is.
I totally get that this environment is alien to us, but you know what? If you want it, it's still there. I still have to make the same decisions as anybody else when they come out of treatment. We all do, you know. Do I want to interact with recovery today? Do I want to stay clean today? Have I had enough of the madness today? Well, if that answer to all them questions is yes, then I've got to go and seek it out, you know. And it's there. And the fellowships have got their arms open. Recovery's got their arms open. The churches have got their arms open. If we want it, it's there.
I personally, I've really been enjoying the meetings, you know, like getting the odd new person come along, someone from
We've had a laugh, haven't we?
different areas as well, you know, like people you've never met before. And yeah, I did one meeting, an online. It's weird saying I did a meeting in, like, I think it was Bristol actually. I did one, but of course it's not really in Bristol. It's just here, but it was nice seeing a different load of faces, a load of different stories. But yeah, the stuff we have in common is the same, whether it's Bristol, Loughborough, America, you know, India, wherever, you know. So it's it's an opportunity.
It's just that common. Sorry, you keep like freezing up, so I don't know if you've stopped thingy, but it's all right. It's all right.
No, I'm just saying it's
all right. It don't matter.
In a way, it's an opportunity.
It's just that common language of recovery, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when I was in Spain, And I went and I'd done a meeting in Spain when I'd done the walk last year, and it opened my eyes, because my sponsor, you know, my two sponsors that I've had, and now my other sponsor that I've got in Narcotics Anonymous, you know, they've done meetings all over the world, you know, and all three sponsors have sort of said that when you first experience the international language of recovery, it's amazing. You know, I'm sat in a room in Spain, yeah, and I've got like 4 other people in Alcoholics Anonymous sat around, not one of them speaking proper English, only one of them spoke broken English, and I'm listening, and they're all speaking in Spanish, yeah, right? In I can't even remember where I went now, but wherever I was, yeah, the Compostela de Santiago, that's it. I'm in Santiago. So, and these are all speaking Spanish, and I can't understand the word they're saying.
No.
Can't understand the word they're saying, but I felt safe. I felt like I knew what they were all talking about. And then when they finished, and I knew they'd all had their share, they just went, I said, what can I share? And I'm like, yeah. And I just started talking, and I started just talking like about the steps. And I'm like, yeah, well, step 1, and Paolo, and blah, blah, blah. And by the time I got to step 3, the bloke that spoke broken English, he was almost like interpreting what I was saying, but broken. But he was telling them, he's talking about the steps. So step 3, and I'm just like, he understands what I'm saying, but it's the international language of recovery through them 12 steps, you know?
Yeah.
Amazing. And when I seen it work at first hand, I then knew what my sponsors had always been saying to me, that no matter where I go in this world, within the fellowships, within the fellowships, so recovery fellowships, the 12-step fellowships, I will be understood. I'll be accepted, understood, and I'll be welcomed. And that's immense for me. Amazing.
Yeah. So you mentioned
and that you know what, if I'm going to give anybody advice coming out of rehabs, there's your advice. Get involved in a worldwide family, a worldwide fellowship. Yeah, no matter where you go, you're going to be understood and welcome. You know, my sponsor, he said something to me once that, and this might sound a bit wrong, but I've got to say it. But he says, and he's talking about AA. He says, AA is like the mafia. This is what he got told. AA is like the mafia. He says, you know, you're welcomed into the family, but if you leave, you could die. You know, because that's, you know, you're safe when you're in the family, but if you leave, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense with your addiction. Do you get what I'm saying with that? I hope that ain't give a wrong message, but as soon as we leave the fellowship, as soon as we leave the thing and we become I again and away from we,
that's where problems happen.
We're in trouble, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know?
So speaking of your recent, well, it was last year now, wasn't it? About pushing a year, your trip to Spain. I want to get back to your story. And I think last time we finished off with you out of rehab, reconnecting with the family. And yeah, so let's pick it up from there.
Yeah. So yeah, it was last September when I went to Spain. Yes, I just come out of it. I just want to say, just before I do go any further, I did say to you, if you remember last time after we spoke after the last one, I watched the last one back, and I just wanted to sort of like put it out there and just make it's not an apology, but just to let people know that I do get passionate about this stuff, and as you've heard, that I've got a massive faith in God, but I have to sort of like be mindful of the way I act and the way I am, because, you know, I have to be right in the eyes of man as in the eyes of God as well. And I know some of my language in that last one was a little bit choice language, but I was getting a bit passionate, you know, so I do try and curb my language. the odd swear word comes out every now and then. That's because, you know, as you can see, I'm still a fleshly being. You know, I've not got my heavenly body yet. But, you know, I just needed to put that out there, that if anybody was offended by my language in that, I am sorry.
Yeah, well, Stu, it's good of you to say, mate. But for me, it's
you know,
it just shows how passionate you are about it, and you know, and words come out. But you know, that's what we like on this. It's that's why we call it real talk, isn't it? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But I, you know, like I say, it's just for myself and my own self-being that I needed to just say that. But when I come out of rehab, you know, I got taught in rehab to get, you know, to get involved in recovery and start giving back. And that's basically what I've done. I've started to understand the therapeutic value of one addict helping another, one alcoholic helping another. Because that's how this all started, you know, with Dr. Bob, Bill W. Two alcoholics just had a chance meeting, started talking about God, started talking about their problems, started talking about all sorts of stuff, and then before you knew it, they realised they'd not had a drink. Hey, and then progression. We find ourselves here now, many years later, you know, being able to stay clean a day at a time and sober a day at a time. Through that, and I got told to get involved in that stuff, and I did. I went to a Christian rehab where I got taught by two people. One taught me to get embedded into a church and church life, which I did. I come out and I got embedded into a church in Loughborough where I served. Where I served at, I preached at that. Well, I don't now, but I did. I preached at that church, part of the leadership at that church, and you know, I'd done a lot of volunteering when I first come out, you know, through the church. I also volunteered at other places, all part of giving back when I first came out of treatment. And I started getting involved in the fellowships. You know, I started going to meetings daily. You know, was suggested to do 90 and 90. I can honestly say I didn't do 90 meetings in 90 days when I came out, but I'd done a fair few, but I'd done other stuff. I was going to do the church stuff, but the way I seen it, I'd done 90 meetings in 90 days when I stayed in a rehab for freaking 6 months. You know, so that's 6 months of recovery. Like from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, nearly swore again then. You know, so I've done 90 and 90 there, putting up with other people's behaviours. That taught me. When you're in close quarters in rehab, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And you're not quite right in yourself still. You still got ill thinking. But, you know, I don't want to digress into that. That's still recovery. That's teaching you a lot. So I come out and I started volunteering, getting involved in friendship groups, and just all this stuff, just general giving back. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot in early recovery. I was a real sort of like, before I went into recovery, I was a real label snob. I won't say that I was mega rich or out like that, but if the ex-wife had come home with something from Primark, I'd snub my nose up at it and I'd be like, I ain't wearing that. And she, well, because it ain't got like a little man playing polo on it, on an horse and all stuff like this, and it ain't got a little crocodile on the thing, and I won't wear it. And I'm like, yeah, because I was that kind of person. But you know, I got humbled when I was in rehab. I got proper humbled. And when I came out of treatment and I started going around and sitting in friendship groups around at Fear and All and mixing with people that I wouldn't necessarily mix with, starting to sit with homeless people, because I was sitting with homeless people towards the end of my addiction and that, you know. And these are sort of like my fellow human beings that when I was walking around town as a younger man and I used to see somebody homeless and people used to say, you got £1, you got this and that. Even all right up, you know, most of my life I used to say stuff like, get a job, you tramp, do this, do, you know what I mean? I said, and then now let's fast forward a few years. I'm actually sat there on the street. I can remember it one Christmas, just before Christmas, before the Christmas before I went into the Carpenter's Arms. So that had been 2014, 2015, Christmas time. Yeah, I was sat on the streets drinking with the homeless, and people were coming by and sneering and and saying stuff, and it registered with me, and it humbled me. So like, when I come out of the Carpenter's Arms and I started spending time speaking to addicts, speaking to alcoholics, speaking to owners, it proper humbled me. I was on benefits. I'd come from a place where I think I might have said before, earning over £1,000 a week, some weeks, to literally shopping in second-hand clothes shops and wearing other people's shoes and stuff like that. And it taught me something. It taught me something. And it proper humbled me.
That thing about.
I need to remember that stuff today.
Yeah, that thing.
Sorry, go on, Rich.
The thing about, I always say I was only like one bottle away from being homeless. You know what I mean? It could have happened at any time. Yeah. I mean, eventually my wife had enough and asked me to leave the house and stuff. And yeah, I'd lost so many jobs as an indirect result of my drinking, which actually, as I say that, I realise that that's kind of BS. It was a result of my drinking. I'd have been better at my job if I hadn't. And yeah, you're only one drink away, and it's like there's still that stigma around like the homeless guys and stuff, and oh, that'll never be me. But I realise now how close I was to it.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. I was never actually homeless, though. That was the mad thing. It was just my insanity of my using that used to make me sleep and sit on the streets. I had certain car parks that I'd just get absolutely bladdered, and I couldn't be bothered to walk out. I had phone boxes. I used to stand in phone boxes and sleep standing up like that. You know what I mean? And if I was semi-conscious and somebody come by, I'd like pick the phone up and like make out I was on the phone, like they're going to be bothered. I had a den that I made in the woods up near my sister's, and I used to sleep in the den. Just that insanity stuff with the addiction. But you know what? When I came out of the Carpenters and I started, giving back, what a message! And that's the message today. It's the same message that I get in the church. It's the same message I get in the fellowships. It's all about that broken person that walks in the door that needs salvation. It's all about that broken person, that newcomer. That's what I got taught. I got given a message and a message of hope. And I work on that every day. But I believe I'll speak personally for me. I believe it's my fundamental thing that I've been given something freely, so freely I've got to give. And that is the message of the fellowships, isn't it? We only keep what we have by giving it away. And when we see a newcomer walk in the door, it's the most important person in the room, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a beautiful message. What a beautiful message. And I've been taught loads of stuff and that about behaviours and my addictive nature, my addictive thinking, and all these things that I have to watch out for today as a recovering addict, and I've got my faith and I've got my recovery, and for me, I'll only speak personally for me. They complement each other for me for the way I live today. Yeah, they complement each other so much. I can apply my faith, but then I can hear my higher power. I can hear God saying to me, "You're going to do a step 10 around that." If I need to apologise about something, I'll feel the Holy Spirit say to me, "I think you need to apologise about that. I believe you call that a step 10. Well, let's do it. Go and apologise." I've just done it this morning. I've literally just done it this morning. And I didn't upset anybody, but somebody done something yesterday, yeah, and I copped a feeling over it. I copped a feeling over it. My head went. Yeah, I started judging. I said a few choice comments, not to the person, but and I always have this thing now that it's the same as a step 10. It's like the Bible will say, do not let the sun go down on your anger. Do not give the devil a foothold, And I apply that to my step 10. That if somebody upsets me today, what I mean? I'll afford them. I'll afford them within my head and thinking to be an idiot today. But there's no way I'm going to let you be an idiot tomorrow. I need to sort this out. I need to apologise. If I do need to apologise, if it's a two-way thing, let's have that conversation and let's sort it out. Because I've just done a teaching in the rehab on Friday, the analogy that I use, and I know we've heard that rucksack thing, that we walk through the day picking pebbles up and putting pebbles in a rucksack, and just little pebbles don't weigh nothing. But you keep picking up, by the end of the day, that rucksack is too heavy to hold. And if we don't empty that rucksack on a daily basis, you're going to be taking weight into the next day that you can't carry. And to add added weight upon the previous day's weight, you're not going to be able to do it. It's a very dangerous way to live your recovery. That's why that step 10's there. That's why we need to reconcile with each other all the time. And just release yourself from them prison cells of resentments, them resentments, because I got taught that the biggest pull down for recovering alcoholics and addicts is these resentments. We need to keep a short account with people and just just live that spiritual life, innit? And like I said, I've got my faith, I've got my recovery, living by spiritual principles, but also living by fruits of the spirit, and just try and keep myself as thingy as I can.
You mentioned there, Stu, that you'd done a teaching last Friday. So at some point in recovery, you started work with the treatment centre.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I started volunteering at the food bank where I work. And then I started volunteering at other organisations because basically it didn't look like I was ever going to work at the place I work now. It just didn't look like it was going to happen. I ain't going to lie to you, I mean? No point in lying, I'm an honest man. With the way I'd done my program and that, I mean? I went probably the first choice person to have been a staff member. You know what I mean? And why? Because I'm a gobby git. That's why, And so I got basically told that if I wanted to work in recovery, maybe I'd be best if I looked elsewhere. So I started volunteering at the Falcon Centre in Loughborough. Then I started volunteering at Exario. And then the Carpenter's Arms, where I work now, they was expanding, and I got asked if I wanted to work there. And wow, I was like, yeah. It took a while for me to give them the answer, because I had to seriously think about it, because it was going to sort of like make an impact on my recovery as I was working at that time, because I was doing meetings at night, and it meant I'd have to give up a few meetings. But you know what? Recovery is a bridge to normal living. That's what it means. That's what recovery means. It means a bridge to normal living. And you know what? In this day and age, in this society, working is a part of normal living, isn't it? And I had to sort of like think, well, no, this is a job, and it's a job that I know I love. See, because I don't see it as a job, you see, if you want to know the truth, I'll just elaborate on that. I see it as a calling, because there was a point within when I was in rehab that I realised that all this stuff was starting to come naturally to me. I never knew nothing about recovery. I knew nothing really about God, about recovery. But this stuff started coming naturally to me, and I just got a heart for giving back. Now today, because I'm still a fleshly being as well as a spiritual being, my flesh can rise itself up. Now, if I'm thinking about going to work, I can start getting thinking, I can't really be arsed. I'm standing waiting for the bus and I'm like, oh man, it's a job, just like any other job, and I don't really want to go because nobody really wants to go work, you know, sort of thing. But you know, as soon as I walk through that door, that thinking gets lifted straight off me. And it ain't a job, it ain't a work, it's a calling. And I know I've been placed there to do works, not a job, but to do works. And what's that? That's to give a message of recovery back to people that are still suffering. So I see it as a calling. And so, yeah, I started working at the Carpenter's Arms, and I've been there for about 3.5 years now, 4 years.